You're listening to Dead Air Podcast, part of Splatterpictures.net.
What's up, everybody? Wes, Dead Air, and Ipe here.
And typical Lydia.
Here again to talk to you about a horror movie. Today's horror movie is Satan's Little Helper. It's a 2004 direct-to-DVD feature, and it's a fucking weird one.
Yeah, no, of course. And I loved every single minute of it.
Yeah, it's very much its own thing. And I mean that in the best sense of the word. I feel as though there's nothing quite like it in terms of all these elements getting put together into one thing. The movie's premise is that there's a little boy who seems to have some kind of mental deficiency.
Be nice.
Okay, he seems like on some level a functional human being who has a very loose grasp of reality.
For sure. Way worse than any other video game addicted kid.
So we start off in the movie with this kid playing a video game on... I'm not sure if it was supposed to be on a phone or if it's supposed to be its own
I think its own handheld. Like just one of those dedicated
because in 2004 they wouldn't have had a smartphone, but it looked like a smartphone to me, which is why I was getting confused about... I was like, when did this movie come out? So he's playing this game, and the idea behind it is that you're Satan's little helper, and you're a little devil boy in a red costume with a cape and horns, and you're helping Satan kill people. And
for 20 points, 50 points, bonus points.
And this kid is just really into it. So into it, in fact, that he's Satan's little helper for Halloween. He's the character from the video game. And, you know, he's driving along in the car with his mom. I mean, he's riding along, not driving. And his mother, he asks his mother questions. Like, it's almost like, it just reminded me of like a kid asking about like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Asking her, is Satan real? And his mother gives actually a really good response.
Yeah, very good, like... mother response that reassures him and also and she injects a little fun into it at the end.
She does, because she says while she kind of says no, she also leaves it open that yes, in a sense, Satan does exist. And he's like fist pumping. Yes.
So awesome. Satan exists.
He's so happy that Satan exists, and to me, that's such a weird thing. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved the macabre and dark stuff. I mean, I wouldn't really say that I was fitting into any particular stereotype of a horror fan. I honestly just thought, when I was a kid, I liked monsters and horror movies. And
totally. I grew up on a semi-haunted farm, so I was like, scarecrows. I used to sit there and stare at the scarecrow and wait because it was going to move, because there was maybe someone in there. And, get yourself all worked up. Kids love getting themselves worked up.
And that's the type of thing that if I could impart parent advice to anybody, even though I have no children of my own, I would just say, let your kids be scared. Let them have fun. And because they seek it out themselves.
Yeah, and that's where she sort of leaves it, too. Because she gives this really good mother response, a really, really good response to the whole, does Satan exist question. And then is like, and then basically leaves it open for him to be having fun on Halloween in his Satan's little helper outfit, and
so the movie
reassures him.
The movie does take place on Halloween, which is something that I love about horror movies. Horror movies a lot of the times will take place any time of the year, but the ones in October that I like to watch the most are usually the ones that circulate around Halloween or have a very strong Halloween theme to them, just to sort of get me into the mood, because you can watch a horror movie at any time of the year, but I try to save the ones that are about Halloween or take place within the month of October for that month. I don't know, just sort of like, again, it's to me, like, watching movies like this is the equivalent of, like, people saying, oh, every year I have to watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Or Die Hard.
Or Die Hard.
Yeah, no, I do. I know what you mean, because I almost feel like when I watch a horror movie out of the context of the Halloween month that happens to take place around Halloween or in Halloween, or there's Halloween parties or whatever going on in the movie, it's like a special treat. And it's almost like, oh, I'm going to file this one away under horror movies that take place at Halloween. Because I don't know why that's extra special. Awesome. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, as horror fans, we like to celebrate in October, having a good time and wanting to get that Halloween feeling that I'm always sort of seeking out that the joy I had as a kid, getting really into the holiday and really wanting to, I gotta watch as many horror movies as I possibly can, because, TV would play them all the time, and it was a great way to discover new stuff. It was a great way to see things that you liked but you only see around a certain time of year. Again, it's that whole Christmas special thing, except, in October with horror movies.
Yeah.
This kid is really into Halloween, and the whole town is really into Halloween in the way that I wish that my neighborhood was into Halloween.
It's like you dream that houses and people and towns and streets are into Halloween when you're a kid. Like, you want trick-or-treating to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it seemed, the movie takes place over the course of a day. Mm-hmm. Halloween, and it just seems everyone's so into it, and it makes the day seem so long. Like, people are trick-or-treating. It seems like everything starts in the afternoon. People are like all day in their costumes.
They've got their front yards done as full haunts. Almost all of them. There's Halloween decorations absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, everybody's into it.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of it. This kid sort of wanders off on his own after his sister comes home from school, I believe. Mm-hmm. And she brings along with him her new boyfriend, Alex. And the kid does not like the boyfriend at all. And we find out that he doesn't like the boyfriend because he wants to marry his sister.
Yeah, and the new boyfriend is competition.
And the mother explains that to him in this exacerbated...
Exacerbated?
Shut you. He explains it to... in this tone that sort of implies, oh, of course, this is what he thinks. And of course, why couldn't you know this? It was so matter-of-fact to her.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to be acknowledging the fact that this kid is fucking weird.
Yeah, this kid is extremely weird. The kid is weird from the get-go. The kid is weird with his, like refusal to accept any reality or live within it. Yeah. And his really strange love affair with his sister. To the point that he doesn't want anyone around, basically.
Yeah. Very possessive of her.
Super childishness.
Super childish. And I was looking at the kid. They don't ever say how old he is.
No, they don't.
But he looks 10 to me.
About that.
Way too old to be acting as juvenile as he was. It was the naivete, I don't even know what else to call it. It was so weird.
No, and these exuberance over silly things. Usually things where it comes about because he's getting his way. He thinks it's awesome. Whatever it is, as long as he's getting his way, it's awesome. It's so cool. Everything's so cool and awesome. And yeah. That sort of excitement and the immediate dejectedness when he doesn't get his own way with just the okay, and he's suddenly Eeyore for 4 seconds till something awesome happens, and then it's so cool and he's fist pumps. And it is like this up and down sort of emotional state that you see sometimes in 3 and 4-year-olds. And again, with his love of his sister, the way that he has this weird coveting his sister in a sexual or father-like way is another thing you see in 3 and 4-year-olds. There was something else that this kid does that's like 3 or 4-year-olds. Oh, and the questions he has The questions this kid has are the questions of a 3 or 4-year-old. Does God exist? Does Satan exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was baffling to me watching this kid. Now, maybe it was the kid that they got to do the role wasn't really up to what it was asking of him. Probably just verbatim speaking the lines that they wanted him to. So then the problem's in the script, because it wasn't so much how he was acting, it was the stuff that he was saying and the stuff that he was doing. And it really takes a strange turn when he encounters a guy dressed up as Satan from the video game. It's very specific that this guy who's in this... I really liked the mask. I thought it was really cool. It's this great...
He didn't look anything like the Satan in the video game, but everyone else seems to identify him as the Satan in the video game.
And looking at the costume, I never would have thought Satan specifically. I would have said demon, monster, but I wouldn't have just said, oh yeah, that's Satan. It's gray, the horns, white hair, he's wearing gloves and a big black coat. He doesn't speak. So the kid finds this guy arranging a body on a porch. He had killed some woman and was sort of aligning her up with a scarecrow and creating kind of this Halloween decoration.
Yeah.
It's broad daylight, there's people around, but nobody seems to notice, because I'm assuming they're looking at that and saying, oh, well, it's Halloween and he's in a costume and this is clearly not real. And the kid, I later on realized that the kid doesn't understand that it's not real. I thought that the kid knew that it was real and he was just screaming ahead.
And he was absolutely stoked. But he sort of knows it's real to an extent, because the very first thing he says to the guy was, how many points did you get for killing that old guy? Yeah. So he knows that the old guy is dead in the extent that this kid understands death, which is barely at all, or in a video game sense. He knows he just witnessed Satan pull someone's guts out. That's what he keeps going on about. Is like, are you going to chop him up and pull his guts out? Because I guess that's
something that they do in the game.
The goal in the game, right? Yeah.
Right. It's something that they do in the game. He follows this guy around for one more house, and he kills that old man. And again, it's in the middle of the day, and I love how the killer, in this Satan costume, looks up on the front lawn in the middle of the afternoon. There's like cars driving by, but he sees the kid, and he's like, oh.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Someone saw me in broad daylight while I'm dragging a body across the front yard. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it was such a funny. It was surreal, and that's what this movie is. It's just a collection of surreal moments.
Yeah.
So the kid sees this as an opportunity. Well, Satan is here. I'm Satan's little helper. My girlfriend.
Oh God! See, you've swallowed the whole thing.
That's what happens. No, my sister has brought a guy over who I don't like, so I'm going to get Satan to kill him.
Yeah.
And so he makes this proposition to the guy, and the guy's a maniac, so he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And what I dug about this killer is how into helping this kid he just instantly gets.
Oh yeah, right away. He's like, it's not only because it's providing him some sort of like safe haven on one hand, and it's a distraction from all the killing, I suppose. It's something to do that's relatively tame and safe for a while. Yeah, and how he instantly latches onto this kid as quickly as the kid latched onto him.
It's cool. I liked it because my initial thought was, oh, what's going to happen is this kid is going to try to get this guy to sort of play with him and act like a kid, and this guy's a killer, and he's gonna get pissed.
Yeah, he's gonna get fed up as soon as the gig is up. 20 minutes in, he's gonna trying to get rid of this kid, like shaking a clingy dog off your leg.
Yeah, but no, he is so content to go to this kid's house, play pretend with him, be up in his room, and play with toys with him, and watch him play the video game. And he's just his arms around him. He's got the double thumbs up. He's just so into it. And honestly, what makes the movie so good is this guy's performance under the costume. He never speaks. There's no dialogue given to that character whatsoever. But it's so expressive.
Yeah, the most he has are nodding of his head, shaking it yes and no, thumbs up, giving someone the finger, and that incessant, long-lasting double finger that I love so much, and nodding, the enthusiastic nodding of the head.
A lot of big performances with the arms. He's having a good time.
Jazz hands,
lots of jazz hands. That was a great scene. He kills. No, he doesn't kill. He comes up upon the boyfriend eventually, right? That's what. Yeah. Eventually, they get the boyfriend by himself and beats him seemingly to death. Arranges him like the other bodies on someone's porch. Bashes a cat's head in and writes "boo" in blood.
With the dead cat's body as a brush.
With the dead cat's body. And it's so fucked up. But it's funny at the same time.
Yeah. Because it's so surreal. Like, it's shocking. What he just did was weird. And then he does this completely out of the blue shocking act. And then he had done it. Like, it's sort of like he picks up the cat and thinks, this would make an excellent paintbrush to write "boo" on this wall with. And just does that. And
then this family comes up and wants his picture. And he poses with the body and the "boo" made of cat's blood. And he's just like, hello! It's just a big pageant. And I love interpretations of evil like that are really whimsical.
Yeah.
And it definitely was that. So, I mean, that worked really well.
And every minute he had to be silly, he took. Way later in the movie when he's driving with the mom he's basically kidnapped, he's got the 80s cock rock just blaring. He's got his arm around his girl, quote unquote, the kidnapped mom. And he's rocking out and driving along like he's king of the world. That's hilarious.
It really is great. And that is the performance that I think when this movie has its modest cult following, that's probably what people are gravitating for. Everybody else is serviceable but weird. And again, we keep saying surreal. It's very dreamlike.
It's like Parents. Have you seen the film Parents?
No, I haven't.
We'll need to watch that, and we'll need to actually review that. Surreal in that same sort of sense, a dreamlike quality, the camera angles, and the garish amounts of blood when there is blood, and it's always like cartoonish color schemes, cartoonish sets. Yeah.
If you were describing a dream to somebody, I feel like this is the types of scenes that you would describe. Like, I was there, there's a lot of close-ups, a lot of Dutch tilts, quick cuts, people saying things that on the surface seem normal, but it's not normal. Nothing about how anyone interacts with each other is normal. The sort of relaxed sexuality between the kid's sister and him, and
even like the part where about the midpoint of the movie where she's wearing this low cut shirt for her Halloween getup, and her tits are basically hanging out, and he's like, I see your boobies, and it's like, hey, you're fine.
And then the killer shows up, and who thinks at this point everyone thinks that it's the boyfriend dressed up. They don't realize that the killer has taken him out and he's shown up at the house in this costume.
Yeah, the only person knows that that's not the boyfriend is the kid.
Yeah.
And he wants to just keep the gig up because... I keep saying gig, I don't know why. But he just wants to keep the ruse up that Satan, quote unquote, is the boyfriend, so they let him in the house.
Yeah. And so he's feeling her up.
Violently.
And he's just watching it.
And he's like, now he sees your boomies. And it's like, wouldn't you be just mortified? Hey, this is the person this is the sister of yours you think you're going to marry, and you're jealous of anyone that looks at her or anyone that's going to spend time with her. And here is this maniac, like, totally going to town with her tits, and you're just like, hee.
Isn't this great?
Yeah. So awesome.
It's so fucking strange. I just watching it, I was wondering, are there families that act like this? Is this normal? Because even if would you let your boyfriend feel you up in front of your little brother like that? And
no, or your mother.
Or your mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. But again, this movie is full of moments that are just off like that.
Where no one acts like that. No one. But they just roll with it, and they do it again, and they roll with that, and then they do it again, and they roll with that. So you really get sucked into this, like, okay, this world is just completely outlandish every minute.
Yeah, it's just this consensus reality where if everybody's acting this way, oh, fine, fuck it.
I mean, no wonder all the cops got killed. I mean, it's a wonder that the cops all didn't get killed, like, 3 months ago.
All 5 of them.
Yeah, for the whole island.
Their entire police force consists of 5 people who get murdered in scenes we don't see. You see their bodies. You're not sure how the killer does it. How the killer took out 5 armed police officers.
He probably did it awesomely with some sort of joke, or, like in some sort of clown-like way.
That's a scene I would have wanted to have seen. I would have wanted to see armed men get their asses handed to them by this ridiculous guy in a Halloween costume. That would have been compelling to me.
But I like having those scenes not included so that you can leave it up to your imagination, and the fact that you're going to accept that he is some sort of surreally all-powerful maniac in a Halloween costume that can just walk up to a cop shop and incapacitate the entire force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As minuscule as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the cops are out of the picture, the town goes nuts.
Half the town is not even aware.
That's the other thing. I mean, all these murders are occurring in broad daylight, and for fuck's sake, when they go to buy Halloween candy, and the kids in the shopping cart, they load up their shopping cart, 2 big grocery bags full of stuff. They don't pay for anything. They get chased out of the store by one of the clerks. That clerk gets smoked and chucked into a dumpster, and then the kid gets is in the shopping cart while the killer is like wheeling him through the parking lot. They hit a pregnant woman. They hit a baby.
Blind guy.
They hit a blind
50
man.
50 points.
50 points for the blind man. And the whole town is just, oh, that didn't happen, I guess.
Yeah, no one noticed that happen. No one noticed, like, them, the bloody guy racing around town trying to find people and help them. No one noticed all the dead people, and the girl hanging, and the guy chucked out the window, and all these people laying in their front yards, obviously dead.
Murdered.
Yeah. Like, the very first one that they show is absolutely heinous. Her neck is torn completely open. There's blood everywhere. Flies are beginning to gather. Yeah. So it's really, really obvious. And he leaves her arranged so that her neck is tilted just so you can see all of this.
Yeah.
Like, very well. As soon as you walk up, there's an obviously dead person.
And there seems to be a group of people within the town that are rioting, going apeshit because there's no cops. And then everybody else is just that weird party.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's costume. That was the other thing. Everyone's costumes are so strange looking.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you think of Halloween parties, there's always sort of generic costumes that everybody has. There was nothing really generic. Everyone was so specific, I felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there wasn't like a witch or a mummy. There was...
No.
Yeah. Particular costumes, really, really, really particular costumes. And I don't know if they would have just said, hey guys, you're going to be extras in this Halloween party, dress in a Halloween costume. Or if they were like, you're going to be extras in a Halloween party, but it's an extremely surreal, weird, creepy adult Halloween party. So here is your fucking outfit in a box. And,
Yeah, because it's equal parts people are in fucked up masks that are very creepy and scary, and then there's another group of people that are there that are in costumes that are very childlike.
Theatrical.
Theatrical. That's a good, very theatrical.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It's almost like half of them belong to the theater troupe in town, and the other half are the horror fans, and they're all commingling at this weird party at a castle.
That one guy with the really cheap cheetah mask. Mm-hmm. He's just like, I got this was on sale.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was the one guy that went to Walmart and got an off the rack Halloween costume.
Yeah, probably the coolest costume there. And the only really generic one was the mom, who was a Carmen Miranda. Yeah, and that's pretty typical, especially mom type Halloween. That's a safe one for moms.
Yeah.
But then she's fucking wrapped in packing tape.
And no one seems to care.
Everyone thinks that's brilliant, And it is that I almost wanted. You could just take anything. You could be you could be a witch. Just wrap yourself in fucking packing tape. Like,
yeah,
I'm a kidnapped rape victim to be. That's what I am. Yeah, I was going up for Halloween and someone wrapped me in packing tape.
And it's funny because it is this sense where people think it's part of the costume. So they see this woman wrapped up in distress, or they see bodies laid out on properties in the middle of the day, and people are just, yeah, it's Halloween. This is what happens. Whereas in some horror movies, one of the reasons why killings can go on for as long as they do is because, well, they don't believe them. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're playing a prank. I don't believe what you're doing. These people don't even seem to even acknowledge that anything's happening whatsoever. They're not saying, oh, this is a prank. They're not even talking about it.
No, not at all. And they're not even being like, hey, did you see Joe's Halloween display? I think he's been laying out on that couch for like all day, basically.
Yeah.
He hasn't moved at all. Like, he's doing that dead thing real good. Like, no one's... They're taking pictures of these things and thinking it's great and then walking away and going on their merry day.
Yeah. I guess in the sense, it's like the kid. The kid doesn't understand that what he's witnessing is real. Again, a kid that age, 10 years old, should be able to understand what you're looking at. It's not until his own father is killed.
Really, heinously too.
Like the kid, like the Satan guy disembowels him, and looks like he put his entrails into a bow or something.
He tied them to the chair for some, I don't know what reason, but a reason.
Weird like that. He's like, let me try this.
I haven't tied the guts in a knot for a while.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine being this killer though? You get off the boat, the ferry, a week before, let's say, and you're just you go for a coffee. Doesn't take you long, and you're like, everyone on this island is fucking stupid. I'm gonna just stay here. It's almost Halloween. You know what I'll do? I'm gonna go to that retarded costume shop and just pick up a Satan-ish kind of thing. I don't know, horns work, and some dead guy smoking jacket. Kind of like a black Hugh Hefner kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, it was like a trench coat or
it was just so
jacket.
big. It looked kind of like the Penguin too in a way, but he did with a Satan-ish mask on. And then he's like, I'm just gonna wait a day or two, and I'm just gonna go on a rampage and kill as many of these idiots as I can because I can.
He kills a lot of them.
Yeah,
up to including everyone that he poisoned at the party.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Kind of hilarious with a ridiculous punch. He's
putting Drano in the punch and then taking them all out. One of the side plot points that I feel was not touched upon at all was there's the expository news report about the arsonist.
Yeah.
That is a member of the town, and they say, oh, he's notorious for burnings during Halloween, but he's born again and don't worry about it. And so through the whole movie, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I guess that's who the killer is? Is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? But it never goes anywhere. They never flat out ever say.
No, it's the point of a red herring is the reveal, right? You can string people along And it's almost a fun ride because you know you're going to get off the train at one point and they'll be like, ta-da! He's not the killer because all the killings happen with a left-handed guy and he doesn't have a left hand, or something like that. That's going to happen with your red herrings, but it doesn't here at all.
No, because
he evaporates.
You never even see this arsonist guy. They never encounter that character. They encounter his parents at the party. Yeah. But that whole thing gets derailed by the mother being suffocated. Yeah. Or suffocating while her face is being taped. And from there it just peters out.
Yeah. And you didn't get any resolve with that storyline. Like, for all we know, the arsonist got out of jail and hopped on the ferry and took off for Toronto and has booked a hotel, because who'd want to stick around that lame ass island? I wouldn't.
Well, no. Then again, maybe he's already dead. Who knows?
Yeah, he might have got killed.
It's like they don't ever say at all.
Or if he was at the police station, maybe he got killed there.
Yeah.
Maybe all the beginning of the killings of the cops, because it was set on fire, and that's why they thought it was him that killed all the cops, because the cop shop was set on fire as well. So maybe he did kill all the cops and is just out rioting with a mask on with the rest of that half of the town that is rioting with masks on.
I did really like the scene where he's sort of surveying the chaos that the town is in with the rioters, and one of the rioters sort of shows up and looks at him, and they sort of have this moment where they're fist bumping and then again, very big hand motion, just taking it all in, taking in all the chaos and the destruction. And then the boyfriend shows up, who's not dead, beaten very badly, but not dead. And there's a baffling scene where he points the gun at the killer. The killer pantomimes something his father would have done to him. Going backwards, this boyfriend, Alex, he's very much... He has some daddy issues.
But he is also the most normal person on this fucking island. I will give him that. He really is the most balanced. But yeah, he was beaten as a child.
And
still continues to be beat, apparently.
Yeah. And at some point, the killer... I don't know if the killer knew that was his father. I don't know how the hell... The
killer must have been lurking, because the son goes and bangs on the door and is like, "It's me, Dad, open up the door." And then he takes off. So the killer must have been lurking and like, "Oh, that's who I'm impersonating. I guess he didn't die. This is his dad's house. Well, I'm bored for the moment, so I'm going to go and take his place at the door he just ran away from. And when his dad opens the door, they'll think it's me. Bingo, bango, Bob's your uncle. I can stab the guy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does that, but not before the father acts like he's going to hit him and sort of rears his arm back as if he's going to give the kid a backhand. He gets hucked out a window instead.
But Satan seems to latch on to this as,
yes,
for some reason, he decides, "Oh, this is how I would impersonate this guy if I ever needed to."
And so he uses that to confuse Alex. By doing the same gesture that his father made, Alex now is convinced that Satan's true identity under the Halloween costume is his own father, and can't bring himself to shoot him.
Yeah.
And gets the gun, and so Satan gets the gun away from him, shoots himself in the hand,
almost like the Crow would in The Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To prove that it doesn't hurt me. I don't know. That was really confusing. I didn't understand what the point of that was. Later on, Alex throws out some dialogue about believing that it was his father's attempt to humiliate him, to show that even with the gun, you have no power because the bullets do nothing to me.
Yeah, and I can keep on doing this forever. So I guess that is some sort of metaphor for beating him and humiliating him.
Yeah.
You can keep beating him and humiliating him forever, which is kind of warped. At this point, Alex is a little shaken, and his mind's probably not all there.
No. I mean, people are dying. He already wants his father to be the villain in his because that's who the bad guy has been in his entire life. So they have that scene, and then it culminates into them going to his father's house, seeing Satan's costume, shooting it, and inside is the body of his father. We as the audience know that his father was already dead. So we know that the killer at some point put him in his costume.
Yeah, which is good. I was waiting all the way up until that point for him to pull shenanigans with his costume.
Yeah, because if nobody knows your identity, well, you can put that costume on anybody.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, you can do the whole thing like in Devil's Rejects, where they tape the girl's mouth shut and then put the guy's skin mask on him.
Yeah.
On her and send her on her way.
She got hit by a car, though.
Yeah.
Or a truck.
Yeah.
Was it a truck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not before terrorizing people because they didn't know what she was saying, and she was coming at them with bloody everything. And
that's true.
That's what I was kind of hoping he would be doing with people. I wanted him to throw Alex in the costume, and like eventually he did. But when he was a little more aware, just packing tape. He had lots of packing tape.
So much packing tape.
Yeah.
You gotta put that to good use.
Yeah.
He shows up again later after the kid realizes that this guy is a maniac. He killed his father right in front of him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all pretend, and that's when I was like, "Oh, the kid thought this was all pretend. That's ridiculous."
Mm-hmm.
But he did. The killer shows up again, now dressed as Jesus, and it's probably the creepiest Jesus costume I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just this dead mask.
Yeah, completely still. Worse than the shape even, because we're used to the shape. And the shape's mask looks a little bit ragged and worse for wear. But this is a nice, pristine, clean, frozen in time featured Jesus. It's one of the more anguished looking Jesus.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And throughout the entire movie, when the kid was helping when he was acting as Satan's little helper and helping the killer commit his crimes, the thing that Satan would tell him is, well, not tell him, but the kid would interpret is that they were hiding from God. So you're afraid God's going to come. So all their sneaking around they were doing was because Satan's afraid of God. And so the kid now rejects Satan once he realizes that he's a killer and he's doing evil. Now he asks for God's help. So the killer somehow has this costume. I'm assuming it was at the costume shop.
The best costume shop ever.
The best costume shop ever that has every costume you could ever want in this tiny town that, we need to supply costumes for
it's almost
every...
like the clown car of costume shops.
It is.
Yeah.
Like anything you want to be.
It's bigger on the inside.
It's like Doctor Who's telephone booth.
TARDIS, yeah. It's like a TARDIS. Yeah. It's worse than a TARDIS because it's a costume shop. It's almost like Diagon Alley in a way. Yeah. Ooh. Anyway, so now we just threw out how many pop culture references?
A few more and we get money.
Hopefully. So Silver Shamrock. They're at...
So he shows up in this costume and the kid is fooled again.
Oh, immediately too. Just it's God. I knew you would come.
And you're not talking either, just like Satan. Is that because you don't have to? How could this kid be so dumb? This fucking kid that's responsible for all this bad stuff happening specifically to his family. I mean, the killer was going to kill people regardless. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand how this kid could just be so dumb. It was so frustrating. You just want to shake him.
Yeah.
Just...
Even when there's a point in between all of that where the reality really, really hits home and he's scared and he realizes what has gone on and all the adults around him are finally acting like adults for 4 goddamn seconds and being like, run, hide, I'm going to call the cops. Where's your dad? Where's your boyfriend? Where's everyone? Let's all regroup and get out of this safe. And everyone's terrified for good reason. Yeah. And then that feeling of responsibility kind of evaporates.
Yeah, because the kid is just, oh no, this creepy Jesus costume guy is clearly God. Mm-hmm. Even though he's acting the exact same way as the killer through this entire fucking movie.
Now, is it to go out on fringe film theory? could you say that it might be some sort of dream that takes place in the kid's mind based on this video game? You know, when you played way too much Mario when you were a kid and you go to sleep and all of a sudden you're a Koopa?
Yeah.
You ever have dreams like that?
I've definitely had dreams where things that I've been doing a lot, you've sort of entered the video game or you've entered the movie or something like that, for sure.
And it's 400 times more surreal there.
Yeah.
So that's what this Halloween-loving town would turn into in the mind of a kid, especially a really super childish kid like this kid.
Very childish.
That's probably at half the developmental age that he's supposed to be.
He definitely seems emotionally stunted.
Yes.
And I don't know where that would come from. He seems to have he's got a mom and a dad, and they're weird, but they don't seem to coddle him either.
No, they don't. And they seem to treat him like he's fully normal. There's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with his reactions. They treat him fairly, and they treat him like his actual age, too. They're not talking down to him like he's 4, the way we're picturing this kid.
Yeah.
They're talking to him like a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Baffling.
It is. It is a baffling film. Isn't it fun?
It's fun. Yeah. Yeah,
it's fun. Like, the first time I saw Crybaby, I had the same sort of reaction. I sat back and was just like, what the fuck did I just watch? John Waters, you're weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and so I sat back from this film when I first watched it and just thought, wow, that was weird. What did I just watch? I'm happy, but I feel weirded out.
For me, I think it really is one of those movies that it is very much a movie that you should probably watch with people. And I couldn't imagine on an afternoon like, oh, I'm going to watch Satan's Little Helper. But if I would have the mindset as you got to see this fucking movie.
Yeah, that was the first mistake I made, is watching it alone, because you got to share this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So right away I had to be like, you've got to watch this movie. Cause Oh yeah, it's definitely. Oh, it'd be a great Halloween day movie if you have a couple friends or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Family. You get it if your family's into horror.
And you don't want the usual fare. It's like, well, I don't want to watch Trick or Treat. I don't want to watch Halloween.
Yeah.
Let's pop in Satan's Little Helper. Because I guarantee you a lot of people haven't seen it. Of them, it's like maybe horror fans or curious people on Netflix.
Well, even so, yeah. Curious people on Netflix, maybe even more so, because it sounds kind of weird. It hits that schlocky B-grade slasher stuff that's so popular for some reason among the non-horror fans. But I hadn't heard a blip about it.
Me either. Before you brought it to my attention, I was aware of it because perusing the horror section on Netflix, I had seen it. Mm-hmm. I'd seen the poster, and I thought, oh, it's kind of a cool poster. And I read the blurb, and I instantly forgot it. But it was always in the back of my mind that it was something, oh, check that out.
Yeah, every time I saw it, same thing. It was like, oh, that thing. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe not. Some other time.
I thought maybe it was something to check out for one of the written reviews that I could do on splatterpictures.net. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as the podcast, it's even better because it is definitely one of those movies where you want to talk it out. This kid is so trusting. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you go up to him, if you go up to this kid and not speak a word, he will verbalize what your intentions are and then take you by the hand into his home.
Which is so creepy. Did he not learn the first time?
Yeah,
no.
3 times. Because by the end of the flick, oh, here's a cop, a friendly police officer. I couldn't trust Satan. I couldn't trust Jesus. But I certainly can trust this random cop who also won't speak to me.
Yeah.
What?
That is so creepy. The whole idea is just so creepy.
I just can't imagine.
We're a vocal, verbal creature. Like, we talk, and that's a lot to do with why we've evolved, let alone our thumbs and other ridiculous things. But because we can talk the way that we talk and have such sophisticated language, that's why we have modes of trust. And that's why we have hierarchies. And that's why we have, good and evil, probably. And this kid just subverts all of that by putting words in the mute mouth.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
It's super fucked up. And again, if the kid was 3 or 4, I would buy it. But he's too old for it.
Yeah.
It's beyond coddled. It's as if this kid has had nothing bad ever happen to him, yet he loves a violent video game so much that when he sees blood and gore and that kind of stuff in real life, not only does he think it's awesome, but he can't differentiate from real and fake.
Yeah, and he doesn't think that these people are going to sit up and be okay and that it's just catch-up or something. He seems to know they're dead.
Yeah.
But they're dead in the video game sense.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like, and that's
they're being dead's a good thing. It's 50 points.
That's how come it wasn't until that old woman gets hung by that by her house that I even understood that the kid didn't understand that what was happening was real.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was elements of him making pretend this could be our door to hell, and we went to hell. I'm like, you went trick or treating in your neighborhood. You know where you are.
Yeah.
This is your neighborhood. You live here.
Yeah.
You didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, fine. He's pretending.
Yeah.
I guess, but
pretending in this deep, super pretend way.
Yeah, it's just he is creating his own reality, and what he is interpreting, what he is seeing, in a very specific way. Like you said, like the video game, there is no difference to him, and it's weird because it's a video game that his father gave him randomly, and we don't even see his father until like one scene where he just shows up and gets killed.
Yeah, basically. And he's actually, it's a great performance because he steals your heart right away.
Oh, he just
from the minute he walks in the door.
He's just this over-the-top, exuberant guy.
Yeah, and then he's like this over-the-top, exuberant dad because he's got the most gory, thought-out, bloody.
It's
violent. Oh yeah, it's super brutal.
It's brutal. I mean, a lot of other characters, sure, they're getting killed, but it's a lot of like head bashing or quick stabs and quick stab, tumble into the dumpster, or I bash your head into something and then I know you're dead because you've fallen down and you haven't closed your eyes, and that's really the only reason why I know you're dead.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. This is I'm going to stick my knife in your gut, carve all the way up your torso, and on the ground you're still screaming. I'm going to be pulling out your intestines.
And blood is going to be spewing out your mouth while you plead with your family, and who are freaking out not 3 feet away and horrified because this person that they've had in their home for the last, 6 hours, that's been palling around with their son as his bestest little friend and playing in his room and filling up the daughter's tits and hanging out in the basement sniffing underwear or whatever he was doing, is now tearing the guts out of dad who just got home because everyone was looking forward to dad getting home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, real intense scene.
Yeah, the only intense scene really as far as the deaths go. The mom suffocating and being saved scene is a little bit intense like that, but it's not as bloody, it's not as scary, and it's not as insane.
True. And for such a seemingly cheap movie, there are sophisticated scenes, like you pointed out. There are subtle visual cues that I didn't pick up on right away. For example, the fact that, Alex had always said that, well, he doesn't wear his shoes inside. And then the reason why the daughter realizes that the person in the costume is not him is because he's wearing his shoes inside. And it's a silent scene. There's no dialogue between the characters. Well, the guy playing Satan doesn't speak at all, but there's no dialogue.
And there's no neon sign pointing to that clue.
No, and it's funny because when I first saw it, I didn't get it. I was like, I don't understand. Like, how does she know? And then, and so that was. I felt like that one scene was done really, really well.
Yeah. Really sophisticated storytelling going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and little things like the fact that he mimics the father after seeing him for a few minutes alive.
Yeah.
He picks up on these cues so quickly. I guess being a nonverbal.
Yeah.
He he has to rely on his body language, so he picks up other people's body language so quickly like
But
that.
it's cool because you don't really see that a lot. A lot of times when you're dealing with mute killers in these types of movies, they're not. I mean, they're statues.
Oh, for sure.
And,
like Michael Myers comes to mind, and the only time that I can remember, only because I watched the second one a million trillion times, when he sort of mimics the one orderly that's hanging out with the nurse in the hot tub. He does it by accident. He's not mimicking that guy. He puts his hand on her shoulder. She assumes it's the guy because that's who was in the room a minute ago.
Yeah.
He's not actively mimicking him. He's not trying to trick her into thinking that he's something he's not. His silence just adds to that fact, but he's not trying to trick her. Where this Satan definitely tries. He remembers things and he's crafty.
He's crafty. He seems very intelligent. He's got a very dark sense of humor, and is really loves murder. Like, man, does this guy love being a crazy killer.
Yeah. I think there's a couple scenes where it's almost like you can envision what his face would be like. Whether you think of what he looks like or not, no. You're thinking, like, what his expression would be and, like, how stoked he would be. And when he's given, like, those really awesome, tight thumbs up, like, how stoked and happy he really is. You can see the glint in his eye and the eyes you can't see.
Or the super exuberant head nodding.
Yeah. He's stoked.
Yeah, he's just, like, so much energy in the performance. I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. I can see the cult following gravitating towards the kid. I kind of like, I want to just dissect the kid. I want to go and grab some of my abnormal psychology textbooks and start picking through. I want to grab a DSM and
I thought you meant you wanted to
kid.
like grab a scalpel and just cut his
No,
brain
not
out of his
dissect him
head.
like that. Dissect him like in an analytical sense.
I want to fucking put him in a bag and throw him in a...
You like him that much, huh?
he was crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not... Children in general are not my favorite thing.
High five.
Children like that are just fucking baffling. But the strongest element of this movie, like, I really like the storyline. I did really like the idea of a kid becoming obsessed with a game and dumbly, but following a killer around.
Yeah.
And I did really like the killer's performance, nonverbal performance. It was probably one of the best nonverbal performances I've seen outside of the silent genre. The silent genre is a totally different thing, but in terms of a movie that came out in 2004, a guy was given a hokey Halloween costume and was probably told to just go. This is what you need to express yourself with, so do the best that you can. And he did a really good job. And it elevates the movie to the point which makes it very watchable. I think if they had a lesser actor in that role, I think if it was just a little bit crappier, I would find the movie not watchable.
Yeah, no, so many people would be like, I just don't get it. Like, what's wrong with this half-wit kid?
Yeah,
half-wit.
That's giving him a lot of credit.
I know, I'm trying to be polite. It's a family show, damn it.
Whose family? Like the Manson family?
My family.
Oh. They're good people, I understand.
You better believe it.
Shout out to Lydia's family.
Damn right. Anyway, yeah. The kid reminds me of Urkel, but quiet.
He would remind me of Urkel if he sort of walked into a room and then tripped over the bodies.
Like his mom walks in the banister and everyone's like, bah! And it's like, she's obviously in distress. This dude who you think's her husband just whacked her off of a banister, almost knocked her out cold. She's like trussed up like a rape victim, and you're all like, oh, that was funny.
Yeah, but like, that's just an entire party, a group of people just thinking, yeah, it's fine.
That's booked up. I would never want to have any sort of distress around people like that, ever, 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 ever.
They're just sort of pushing her around while she's suffocating, like, over here, over there, over here, over there. It's like a mosh pit.
It's like a funny mosh pit. Yeah, it is like a weird little mosh pit of like a hot potato game with the dying girl.
Yeah, but I definitely say check this movie out if you're interested in watching something for the Halloween season that is not the norm. If you're looking for something different and you haven't seen this movie yet and you want to check it out, I totally think that you should with friends. definitely, if you're having a Halloween party, have it on the background, or if you're going to have a bunch of people over to watch some scary movies or hokey movies, then definitely...
Oh, because it begs discourse. It really, really does. It's got lots to talk about. It's hilarious, and it's quite deep, and it's psychologically deep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's super entertaining. I mean, you could watch it alone if you're already a fan of things like Crybaby and Parents and things like that.
Yeah.
Super subversive, dark, black humor with gore. Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I'm Wes Knight.
And I'm typical Lydia.
And you've been listening to Dead Air.